So in today's video, we are going to be going over the top 10 class setups that you absolutely must try in Season 3 Reloaded. And a lot of these are updated to reflect the changes that were happening in between Season 3 and Season 3 Reloaded. So let's start off with the TAC-56. So with the TAC-56, this is my updated class setup. So we got the VLK 𝗧𝗧𝗏𝗧 Flash Hider, and for our tuning, we went with 0.45 towards aim down sight speed and negative 0.09 towards aiming idle stability. And then for the underbarrel, we got the FSS 𝗧𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗧. A lot of people ask me why even bother using this one. It literally does nothing. Well, it actually does keep your aim a little bit steadier when you're aiming down sight. So it gets rid of the weapon sway, and plus it's a free attachment basically with 0 cons, and it allows you to keep your ADS speed as optimal as possible. For the tuning, we got negative 0.10 towards recoil stabilization and negative 0.17 towards aim walking speed. Now for our ammunition, we are using high velocity rounds here. For the tuning, I went with 0.45 towards damage range and negative 2.61 towards recoil steadiness. So this will just help your shots hit a little bit faster. And I know there's a big debate about whether or not this is actually usable or worthy enough. Well, in my opinion, I mean, it's up for debate, man. Either you want to use it or you don't. My argument for using this is that it does in fact increase the stats of your bullet velocity, which is going to translate into a much more consistent hit detection. So that's all that matters to me, especially for moving targets. And also the con is very minimal. It just reduces the damage range by literally maybe like a meter or so. You know, it's a slap on the wrist, so why not actually use this? Now for the rear grip, we got the demo clean shot grip, and for my tuning, I went with 0.39 towards recoil steadiness and 0.39 towards aiming idle stability. And last but not least, we got the TV cardinal stock. So for my tuning, I went with 1.1 towards aim walking steadiness and 2.01 towards aiming idle stability. So as far as the rest of the class setup goes throughout the video, and I'm not going to go over what the rest of my class setup is. It's all personal preference, but you can copy what you see here if you would like to. All right, next up, we have the ISO Hemlock. Obviously a fan favorite, one of the better DLC weapons that Modern Warfare 2 has to offer. So for the muzzle, we went the 𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Flash Hider, and for tuning, I went with 0.61 towards aim down sight speed and 0.06 towards aiming idle stability. And then for the underbarrel, we went the 𝗧𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 underbarrel. So for my tuning, I went with 0.08 towards hip recoil control and 0.28 towards aim down sight speed. So one quick little fact about the 𝗧𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is that this actually gives you the best bang for your buck as far as stats go, and reducing that ADS penalty as much as you humanly possibly can. That is super important in this game, is just applying attachments that are gonna help you but not hurt you, if that makes sense. So for our ammunition, we went with the high velocity rounds once again, so we can increase our bullet velocity. And for the tuning, I went with 0.27 towards damage range and negative 5.52 towards recoil steadiness. Now for the rear grip, we went with the Phantom grip. And for my tuning, I went with 0.74 towards recoil steadiness and 0.42 towards aiming idle stability. And then for the stock, I went with the 𝗲𝗏2 stock. So this gives us aim walking speed and sprint speed, helps balance out the rest of the weapon. We got 0.39 towards aim walking steadiness and 2.17 towards aiming idle stability. All right, next up, we have the 545. One of my favorite cast-offs, and by the way, all the cast-offs are great, which we are featuring in this video. So for the 545, I am using the 𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Flash Hider once again, and we got negative 0.87 towards aim down sight speed and negative 0.09 towards aiming idle stability. One of the better muzzles in my opinion, because it reduces that ADS penalty as much as possible while still having ample recoil control, which is great. Now let's move on to the laser here. So for the laser, I used the 𝗧𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and for my tuning, I went with 0.4 towards aim walking steadiness and negative 1.65 towards that aim down sight speed. Now, a lot of people do have some issues with lasers because it shows the enemy where you're at. Well, here's a big difference here with this exact laser. It only activates the laser when aiming. It doesn't show your location to the enemy at all when you're aiming down sights. Now, an example of what does show is something like the FSS-OV laser. So this is something that's different that I have switched, obviously, because it shows that the laser is visible to enemies while you're aiming. So To some people, that's a turnoff. So that's why I went ahead with the 𝗧𝗥𝗥𝗢𝗢𝗥𝗡𝗧𝗏 4, because we still get a free aim down sight speed without having to expose our location with that laser. Now for the stock, we got the cast off Rama stock, and for my tuning, it's 0.90 towards aim walking steadiness and 1.94 towards aiming idle stability. And then we have our true tech grip for the rear grip. We got 0.87 towards recoil steadiness and 0.38 towards aiming idle stability. And then last but not least, this is optional. You could use this if you would like to, but we got the 45 round magazine. Now keep in mind, when you put on any kind of extended magazine, unless it's the 20 round, this is going to make your movement, aim down, reload quickness, sprint to fire a lot slower, obviously, but it's not going to affect it in the way that you think, where it's more important. So this is really only going to affect how your character gets from point A to point B. It's not going to affect your, you know, sprint to fire time or tactical sprint to fire time, where when you engage in a gunfight, that is when it actually becomes important. So 45 round is not going to hurt you in that aspect. Just want to make that clear, but it will hurt you a little bit, just a tiny bit, when you're trying to move from point A to point B. So there is a big difference there. Next up, we have the 7.62. Keeping along with the theme of the cast-off family, definitely a classic in my opinion. So for the muzzle, we got the 8-point flash hider for the muzzle, -3.5 towards aim down sight speed, and -1.5 towards that aiming idle stability. And then for the underbarrel, again, we got the 𝗧𝗥𝗥𝗢𝗥𝗢𝗧𝗏 0.49 towards hip walking speed and 0.28 towards aim down sight speed. And then for the rear grip, we got the true tech grip. Tuning is 0.77 towards recoil steadiness and 0.35 towards aiming idle stability. And then for the stock, we got the ProLight TL3 stock, 2.58 towards aim walking steadiness and 2.09 towards aiming idle stability. And then for the laser, once again, we got the 𝗧𝗥𝗥𝗢𝗥𝗢𝗧𝗏 4. Tuning is 0.39 towards aim walking steadiness and 6.58 feet towards aiming idle stability. Once again, we got to talk about the cast-off 74U. Guys, the cast-off family is just superior in the assault rifle category as far as time to kill, etc, etc. That's exactly why we're including this in this top 10. This is the better choice for close range engagements. So for the muzzle, we got the 𝗪𝗧/Gen 2, and here's the tuning, 0.42 towards aim down sight speed and -0.26 towards aiming idle stability. And then for the underbarrel, we got the 𝗧𝗥𝗥𝗢𝗥𝗢𝗧𝗏 once again, 0.23 towards hip walking speed and 0.23 towards that aim down sight speed. And then for the rear grip, we got the true tech grip, 0.71 towards recoil steadiness and 0.36 towards aiming idle stability. And then for the stock, we got the 𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 stock, 0.13 towards aim walking steadiness and 2.09 towards aiming idle stability. And last but not least, we got the 𝗧𝗥𝗥𝗏𝗥𝗡𝗏𝗏 4 laser, 0.34 towards sprint to fire speed and 39.48 towards aiming idle stability. All right, last but not least, for the assault rifles, we have the M16. Yes, surprisingly enough, this is worth using in Season 3 Reloaded, mainly because they reduce that burst fire delay between shots. So obviously, it makes this gun a little bit more attractive. And secondly, this actually has, on paper, the fastest time to kill. Comes with a caveat, obviously, you must get your shots off first before your opponent does, as well as get accurate shots. Because if you don't have an accurate shot, you don't get your shot off first, obviously, it's going to be very punishable. But if you do, it's very rewardable. You get that fast TTK. So for the muzzle, we got the 𝗧𝗥𝗥𝗢𝗥𝗢𝗏𝗏 flash hider. And for tuning, it's 0.87 towards aim down sight speed and -0.04 towards aiming idle stability. Then for the underbarrel, we got the 𝗧𝗥𝗥𝗥𝗢𝗥𝗢𝗏 underbarrel, 0.44 towards hip walking speed and 0.32 towards aim down sight speed. And then for our rear grip, we got the X10 grip. We got 0.48 towards recoil steadiness and 0.33 towards aiming idle stability. Then for the stock, we got the Demo Fade Pro stock. So we got 1.16 towards that aim walking steadiness and 1.63 towards aiming idle stability. Then for the laser, we got the 𝗧𝗥𝗥𝗥𝗢𝗥𝗡𝗏𝗏𝗏 4. Tuning is going to be 0.35 towards aim walking steadiness and -13.16 feet towards aim down sight speed. One little final note about this class setup is that I do encourage you to use this on smaller to medium sized maps. It's not really that great at distance, because that time to kill is going to jump at longer ranges, and plus you're going to be a little bit more accurate at closer ranges regardless, and you can still take advantage of that fast TTK. So just a little quick note right there. All right, now let's move on to the SMGs. Of course, we got to talk about the 𝗏𝒑. A lot of you guys been asking me, what am I using for the 𝗏𝒑 after its buffs in Season 3? So for the barrel, I got the 6.5-inch Bruin Drake barrel, and we got 0.21 towards recoil steadiness and 0.34 towards damage range. And then for the muzzle, we got the Spiral V35 flash hider, 0.61 towards aim down sight speed and 0.18 towards aiming idle stability. And then for the underbarrel, we got the 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗕𝗢𝗠 underbarrel, 0.36 towards hip walking speed and 0.19 towards aim down sight speed. I know you guys may have noticed I am using this underbarrel quite frequently, mainly because on the stats, the data mine stats, it gives you the best bang for your buck with reducing that ADS penalty as much as possible. Now for the rear grip, we got the Bruin flash grip. We got 0.94 towards recoil steadiness and 0.33 towards aiming idle stability. And then for the stock, we got the Bruin Flash V4 stock, 2.58 towards aim walking steadiness and 1.55 towards aiming idle stability. All right, next up, we got the 𝗧𝗨46, another weapon that has been shown some TLC from Infinity Ward. They did add some buffs to it. Not recently, but this is still definitely worth using. So for the muzzle, we got the V3 Flash Hider, 0.74 towards aim down sight speed and negative 0.05 towards aiming idle stability. Now for the underbarrel, we got the 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗕𝗢𝗠, once again, 0.39 towards hip walking speed and 0.13 towards aim down sight speed. And then for the magazine, this is optional, but I do encourage you to use this because we get a lot of pros here for our movement, aim down sight speed, sprint of fire, etc. For the 30 round magazine. So they actually did also buff this, and it's actually an attachment worth using now. So for the rear grip, we got the ZLR Combat grip. Tuning is 0.42 towards aim down sight speed and 0.33 towards aiming idle stability. And for the laser, we got the VLK 7 milliwatt laser. So for this one, we got 0.37 towards sprint of fire speed and 36.19 towards aiming idle stability. Now, I understand most people, they don't like lasers because it's visible to the enemy while you're aiming. Well, in the case of the MP7 or, you know, the 𝗧𝗨46, you got to think about it, man. Think about it in a perspective of this is an SMG. We're using this in close quarters, aggressive gunfights. So we're not really going to be aiming down sights, down long lines of sights regardless, because this gun is going to be useless against assault rifles. The TTK is going to jump as well at longer ranges. So you really got to go into the mindset of using this in close quarters exclusively. Okay, you got to be smart. So that's why we're taking advantage of these free attributes, sprint of fire speed, aiming stability, and aim down sight speed. And yes, I know the laser is visible in ADS, but like I said, keep those gunfights as close as possible, and you don't really have to worry about this laser being visible. All right, next up, we have the VAZ-9K. How can we not feature this gun, man? This is a very popular weapon. So for the muzzle, we got the Spiral V3.5 Flash Hider. Then we got 0.77 towards aim down sight speed and 0.26 towards aiming idle stability. Then for the underbarrel, we're actually using the SharkFin 90 underbarrel, 0.44 towards aim down sight speed and 0.03 towards that aiming idle stability. And then for the rear grip, we got the TrueTac grip, 0.06 towards recoil steadiness and 0.39 towards aiming idle stability. And then for the stock, we got the 𝗧𝗪𝗏𝗧 stock, 3.10 towards aim walking steadiness and 1.94 towards aiming idle stability. And last but not least, we got the 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗕𝗢𝗠 4 laser, 0.39 towards aim walking steadiness and 36.19 towards aiming idle stability. All right, last but not least, we have the PDSW-528, a very, very underrated weapon in Modern Warfare 2. I actually discovered this to be quite effective, especially in ranked play. So if this is effective against competitive players, yeah, I mean, I'm sure this is going to be as effective in multiplayer as well. It's a very underrated SMG. Don't knock it till you try it. But I'm using the Spiral V3 Flash Hider for the muzzle. We got 0.84 towards aim down sight speed and 0.12 towards aiming idle stability. Then for the rear grip, we got the Bruin Q900 grip. We got 0.90 towards recoil steadiness and 0.41 towards aiming idle stability. And then for the comb, we got the TV to comb. I'm using 0.08 towards that aim walking speed and 0.15 towards aiming idle stability. And for the stock, we got the CQB stock, 2.84 towards aim walking steadiness and 0.08 towards aiming idle stability. And last but not least, we got the Stowable Tac laser. We got 0.31 towards sprint to fire speed and negative 31.26 towards hip fire accuracy. Make sure to leave a like on this video if you do enjoy these kind of videos. It shows me I'm doing something right. Comment down below, what is your featured best weapon of Season 3? I'm genuinely curious. I really appreciate it, guys. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.